Okay, to our special guest, Senator Grace Poe, Yusek Tarahaji, members of the Inter-Country Adoption Board and members of the Association of Child Caring Agencies of the Philippines, our DSWD family, our foreign adoption partners, our local partners, mabuhay sa inyong lahat po. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. Okay. This being our 12th Global Together, you know that tonight, we are here to let down our hair, be merry and happy. Let us enjoy the food, the great company, and the entertainment. But before that, we are honored to have with us a very special person. I had the pleasure of being with our special guest during the campaign early this year. There I saw firsthand how humble, down-to-earth, and sincere she was and is. What you see is what you get. She really is a real person. And 20 million plus Filipinos agreed with me because she was voted the #1 senator last May. Let's give her a round of applause. Yes. She is likewise the famous daughter of famous parents. The legendary Fernando Poe Jr., the king of Filipino movies, and the president we missed having. And of course, Miss Susan Roses, the queen of Filipino movies. Before she became senator, she was chairman of the Movie and Television Classification Board. And while chairman, she championed the implementation of age-appropriate TV and movie classification system. And now that she's senator, and still having the heart of the children in her mind, and of course, that's what she is really for the welfare of children, she filed a bill which seeks to address the problem of hunger and poverty in our school through the establishment of a standard lunch program in public schools. We Filipinos are known to be respectful people, and this we show by saying opo, or we end our sentences saying po. Our speaker today is dubbed as the most respectful senator because she never forgets to say po and opo. Okay, so friends, let us all welcome our fellow child rights advocate, our senator of the land, our beloved Grace Poe.
Good evening to everyone. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. To the board and members of the Inter-Country Placement Committee, to the board and members of the Inter-Country Adoption Board, Philippines, Ms. Laura Martinez Mora, Ms. Hannah Philomen Havatin, an adoptee from Norway who won the grand prize winner of Yes, You Can Dance in Oslo. Congratulations. Mr. James Wilson, international adoptee from USA, Kenneth Lee, international adoptee from USA, and Angelo Verhey. I apologize for the pronunciation. I would like to say to Gabby Concepcion, Attorney Gabby, your gown, your Filipiniana, is just fine. It's beautiful. It's perfect for the occasion. It makes everybody smile when they see it. Actually, the story behind this is because of our recent beginning in the recent start in the 16th Congress of the Senate, we get a lot of invitations, and so normally we're given invitations as early as of April or May for those who would predict that perhaps you might make it, and some maybe June. Well, Attorney Gabby texts me 2 days ago and says, "Oh, can you be a guest for our event, a speaker?" And, you know, I couldn't really say no to her because she was in our MTRCB board as one of our most hardworking board members, together with Attorney Del Prado, who's also a member of the Inter-Country Adoption Board, who was the chief of staff of my campaign. So there was no way I could say no to this event, even if today is actually a very important day for us because it's Assumption Day from my high school. But I just had to ask Attorney Gabby, so Attorney, who canceled? And she said no one, because it's supposed to be a dancing celebration night for all of you, so I will just keep this short. This is also a wonderful opportunity for me actually to be invited here tonight, because part of my advocacy is also or maybe a huge part of my advocacy, is child protection. Adopting a child is a tremendous challenge. First, the prospective parents have to contend with so much paperwork. To adopt a child, couples must first submit proof of income, their income tax returns and marriage certificates, letters of recommendation, and countless other documentary requirements to prove or convince authorities that they are good parent material. Second, couples have to contend with the financial costs of adoption, which is quite considerable. International adoption is generally the most expensive type of adoption. One study found that the whole process of bringing an adopted child from one country to another costs anywhere from $20,000 up to $35,000. Third, adopting a child is a time-consuming process. Again, international adoption is the longest lasting, anywhere between 14 to 18 months. This is primarily because current rules allow natural parents to change their minds and reclaim their child several months after they decided to give up the child for adoption. Last but certainly not the least, there's the emotional challenge for everyone concerned. The anxieties of adoptive parents, the guilt of the natural parents, the frustration of the case workers, and of course the psychological impact of the entire process on the child himself. Actually, known to most of you here, I am an adopted child, and from what my parents told me, when I was first adopted, they didn't actually take care of the paperwork right away because my dad had a lot of apprehensions and he hesitated about it because he felt it would be an intrusion into our private lives, and then he felt also that it was not necessary because anyway, he felt that he was giving me all the opportunities afforded a biological child. He said, why should I have a piece of paper to prove that this is my child? But my mom saw it another way. It will be difficult for me, for example, if I had to apply to a school or employment later on, or just to have any legal document whatsoever. So they forged on with the adoption, but it was a very emotional process for them. They had to publish in papers that they had found a child, even if it was done so already early on. And because they were sort of popular personalities, there were some people who approached their lawyers and said that we are the parents of that child. And as early as of that time, there were no DNA testings yet. So they just had to interview those individuals that said that they were my parents, and only to find out that they weren't really my real parents. So it was emotionally taxing. But I'm glad that my mom did it. I'm glad that my father agreed to doing that. It saved me a lot of heartaches also later on, and it also afforded me some sort of security, even for my children today. I don't think it would have been easy for me even to run for public office if I didn't have that documentation. So when I was appointed my first job in public service, which is to head the Movie and Television Review Classification Board, without even looking at the other qualifications they had, I realized that 2 of my board members out of 30 are members of the Intercountry Adoption Board. And then one of the lawyers in my board, because we were required to have 4 or 5 lawyers, one of them is one of the primary advocates for child protection. So I said, maybe there's somebody up there really guiding me towards an advocacy to protect the welfare of children. And so I thank, of course, Attorney Del Prado, who's with the MTRCB board and who tirelessly gives of his time and his skill and talent to be able to promote and uphold the advocacies of the ICAB together with Attorney Gabby. I guess in behalf of the many adopted children, I thank the ICAB, the DSWD, and all the other agencies that take care of our children. You know, they wrote this speech for me, but this is really what I would like to say. I would like to say thank you to you for all of your work, because it is a journey that we are going through. especially for adopted children. There's a lot of stigma attached. You know, sometimes when you're introduced, this is my adopted child, but my mom always says, this is my child. And sometimes they say, you know what, she's really not a child because she's only adopted. But when you think about the time, the love, the effort given to you by your parents, I don't think there should be any discrimination or stigma attached to it. It is such a noble action on their part. And for me, it was my way of giving back to them by growing up, by being a responsible adult, by being a responsible parent to my children, and giving honor back to them. Attorney Del Prado mentioned to me that in the Philippines, it takes so long to adopt children, and sometimes the paperwork alone and in the judicial process will take many, many months, sometimes even years. That you see parents that finally get the piece of paper that say that you are legally the parents of your children in tears because they finally have it. My father was in tears when he finally got that piece of document. And so one of the bills that I will try to push is for this to be an administrative process and not anymore a judicial process. This will really help us all, including the DSWD, so that it won't be so tiresome and so unproductive also sometimes, just to be able to fill out all those paperworks and to go through the court system, which is already so burdened. So if natural parents are incapable of taking care of their children, whether by choice or by circumstance, then adoption is the next best way for our children to achieve their full potential. I am a living example that adoption can provide the opportunities necessary for a child to blossom and become himself or herself a productive member of society. To other adopted children, I always say this, you're not alone. There are a lot of people in society and in history who are adopted. I don't know if you, well, I'm sure you've heard of Babe Ruth. I always mention this. He's one of the great baseball players. We have Bill Clinton, Nelson Mandela, and we also have Moses, and later on, well, a foster child, Jesus Christ. So you're not alone, and I hope that you will find security in the love of your parents. Thank you.